We're looking here at stem and leaf graphs. This is another way of presenting data, especially if the data all has a very common look about it. So for example, percentages from a test. So this is a collection of percentages from maybe a whole class or maybe a student's test results. And all of the numbers in this are 2 digits. Now, they could be also some single digits, but they're all basically in a fairly tight range. So we don't have this broad range, okay? And so what we can do is we can consider that the stem in these will be all of the numbers that are in the tens column, okay? So for example, a number like, so let's say we've got 76 as our result. The 70 would go on the stem, and the 6 would become what we call a leaf, okay? Now, this reflects in what we call a key. So whatever we decide to do with this, the key tells us. So for example, 5 and 4 here becomes 54. And that tells us that on this left-hand side of this line, okay, left-hand side of this line will be the stem. So the 5 is the tens column, so the tens column goes into the stem and the remainder go into the leaf. Now, you could take a number, so for example, if it wasn't to do with test scores, maybe it was to do with how tall you are, most of the scores are probably going to be like, say for example, 165 or 195, that sort of thing. So we might decide to have both of these on that stem side, because we know that the range of heights are going to be relatively close together, and we might put, say, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 here, and then our 165, we would record it as 165, okay? And what that means is, if we have a couple of people who are all in the 160s, we could record their heights like this: 165, 168, 163, okay? Now, if we do that, okay, what we need to do, make sure that on our final copy of this, that we have those ordered from smallest to largest, okay? So it'd be, in this case, it'd be 3, 5, and 8, representing 163, 165, and 168. Now let's assume we have 2 people that measure 165 in height. Then we would make sure that we record that as this, so that that's the 2 recordings of 165, 165, 168, okay? So let's look at recording these percentages now. So we can see here that our lowest score is in the 40s. I like that there, 42, okay? So we're going to be able to run from 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, okay? No one got a score of 100, so we don't have to put a 10 there. And then what we need to do is just record that one score of 42, like that, okay? Now, there were several kids who got scores in the 50s, okay? So let's look at those. We were 54, okay? We have 57, we have 51, okay? And we have 58, okay? So we're gonna record these in ascending order, so 51, and then 54, and then 57, and then 58. So 51, 54, 57, 58, okay? So now we can look at the 60s, okay? So we've got 64, 65, 69, 61, I think is all of them. 0, 1, 4, 5, 9, okay? Okay, 70s. A lot of kids got scores in the 70s, so we've now got, I'll do a different shape for those, that'll be a bit easier for me to see them. Okay, here, that's all of them. So let's have a look at what the smallest score is a 73, I think, 73, yep. So I've got a 73 there. I've got a 73 here, so I record that twice. Then I've got a 74, okay, and then I've got a 75, then I've got a 76 twice, and then I have a 79 there, okay? And then in the 80s, okay, so here we have the 80s, so we have, I'll do blue pen this time just to make it a bit easier to see. Okay, that's all the 80s. So I've got 81, 82, 83, 83, 88. So I've got 81, 82, 83, 83, 88. And finally the 90s, where I have 3 scores in the 90s. I've got a 90, I've got a 91, and I've got a 96. So it's a 90 and a 91 and a 96. And that is my stem and leaf graph. Okay.